Let's go!
You gotta find a way.
This will be it with 2:22 remaining.
Comment below, do you legitimately believe the Tigers can make it to the college football playoff this year? We're going to break it down from so many different angles, starting off with actually a macro topic and an apology from yours truly. I told you to go bet Ole Miss first quarter and Ole Miss first half. So obviously the first half hit. The first quarter, well, we'll get to that in a second. But the simple truth is we were not ready to play to start things off in this game, okay? Brian Kelly, I think, made a bad decision to receive the opening kickoff. But come on, it's a hazy night in Tiger Stadium. You could feel the presence of Billy Cannon versus Ole Miss. And we start off with a drop from Mason Taylor. Now, this is a very difficult catch for Mason on the out, and this is what you want to see from a defensive back, right? This is Trey Amos. He's going up against Kyren Lacy. Kyren was on Amos's recruiting visit this offseason from the portal coming over from Bama. And I want you to remember these two going head-to-head because we will come back to it a little bit later. Okay, this is just really good coverage. He passes off the in-breaker and takes the out. But look at that ball location from Garrett. It still should have been caught for a first down. Biggest play of the game right here. I mean, there's just no other way around it. By sheer EPA, this was the biggest play of the game. Still 0-0. We get burned off the line. You can just see at the beginning, if you're going to play press man against their best guy, you've got to jam. It's not a negotiable really at all. And we give their best receiver a free release with no safety help over the top of a first-year starter, okay? And the play-action fake is there, and we'll pick it up from the other angle, okay? And then you'll see it here, okay? We're already, fading off the beginning of this. Should Gilbert have been over the top of this? I don't know. It's kind of a weird safety alignment. I know Major Burns was over here somewhere, so maybe Gilbert should have been on top of this with Sage right here. I don't know. It's kind of tough to see, but, it is what it is at this point, all right? We're just burned deep, and you've just got to hope and pray he drops it. I mean, this ball hit him right in stride, and ironically, this happened a few years ago, okay, versus Ole Miss in the first half. In 2022, they dropped a walk-in touchdown, and that's exactly what happened here. So this was actually second quarter of the game. They get Jonathan Mingo on this double move, and I said that Mingo dropped it. In fact, it was Jaxon Dart overshooting him, and this would have given them a 24-10 lead. Man, oh man, oh man. And you'll see Lane has a very negative reaction to this. I've always wondered if Lane's reactions to these kinds of plays has a negative effect on the team. So I don't mind first down aggression, and this was the play that won us the game last year, the slot fade. So we're trying to hit it to Aaron Anderson. That's not really his game. Like, I know he hit a slot fade versus South Carolina, but he doesn't have that burst that Malik and BTJ and maybe a few other SEC receivers have. Either way, they were so over the top of this. We just kind of predetermined, threw this up, and it's just not even close. So here we go. It's second down, and this is just not a good call. Normally, this split zone play is just impossible to stop, right, where you're motioning across your tight end. But take a look at what Ole Miss is doing defensively. This is the lightest box you could think of, this three-safety alignment. We just have a huge numbers advantage. We just need to be able to run on this, right? We put Caden Durham into the game. Let him touch the football, okay? And would it have gone for anything? No. Walter Nolan, dominated Garrett Dellinger right there. So either way, we start off slow, and this ends up being a negative play. Third down, and this is really good stuff from Garrett Nussmeier, okay? They're playing so soft and back off of us. We just need to hit comebacks versus it. And Kyren is our comeback guy, but he steps out of bounds on this completion, and Garrett is just waiting for Kyren to get open. I think that extra weight, I'm not going to show it to you, but Kyren kind of stumbled out of bounds. If not, this would have been a first down. So good stuff from Garrett, just not good play from Kyren. Right, so LSU, you can't count how many lucky breaks they got to start this game. And once again, before the game began, I said if there was one play that I would make, it would be Ole Miss in the first quarter or Ole Miss in the first half, because LSU starts slow and Lane Kiffin starts fast, and he calls another ridiculously good play. So what we're doing here is running something called Tampa 2, right? He goes out here, he goes out here, and the Mike runs to the middle of this defense, right? So this started with the Buccaneers, and the architect of this defense was Lane's father, who passed away this offseason. I understand Lane has a heavy heart, but I bet you it was interesting when he saw this defense and had the perfect play called for it, and this is basically it on a diagram for you. Ironically, Lane would have had a touchdown on this vertical versus Tampa 2, right? The vertical is where you want to attack the Tampa 2. We're getting no pass rush. They have a really good pocket here. The only problem is Jaxon Dart has a really bad throw, okay? If he leads this receiver here on this Tampa 2, he's catching this in stride, and you could see we're having to try and gain ground on him. A good throw might have scored, right? Pick it up here. Let's give Zy Alexander a lot of credit, okay? This is a really good play on a ball in the air. Pass, play action fake once again. All right, we're staying the top on the verticals here, okay? And, man, this is just really good D. Once again, no pass rush here. We eventually do get a hand in the face there of Jaxon Dart. Not hand to the face. You get what I'm saying. That's excellent right there from Zy Alexander. Really, really, really good stuff. Okay, Ole Miss, this is what we did to them for the last couple of seasons, and they do it to us here. On third and mediums, run the ball, okay? We just got to make this play. Parashand is right here. He dominates. You see, he's two-gapping a guard. He's playing DT right now, and he's a defensive end, and he's right there to make the play, and we just need him to make this play, and he doesn't make it. Now, part of this is on Whit Weeks because he started fighting over, thinking that this play was going over here. This was his gap. So you would like to see Whit still be there. Sage Ryan filled to this side, and, he took himself out of the play. It is one of those awkward plays where you just need the DT to make the play. And that was a good job by Major Burns fighting his way back in and getting the touchdown saver. All right, so this was huge from Gabriel Relaford. So we're running a stunt here to the inside, outside on this 3rd and 6. This eventually holds Ole Miss to a field goal, okay, and that is a hold. Normally I'm lenient with the offensive line play. God, that was a big play by Relaford. Now, we would like to see our DT get over the top of this a little bit quicker, but you could argue that that was a hold as well, and Dart, eventually gets outside, and they kick a long field goal. And Caden Davis, who's a really good field goal kicker, y'all, it's loud in Tiger Stadium. Loud. And he pushes this right. And we'll take the break all day, every day. All right, so LSU's got to figure something out about the middle of this offensive line because they're just not playing well right now, okay? Miles Frazier whiffs this block, and this first carry for Caden Durham is just going nowhere, okay? Absolutely, positively nowhere. Now we get to the INT from Garrett Nussmeier. It's 2nd and Ponchatoula here. And it is just 2nd and 10, but it is 2nd and long. Now, they could pin their ears back, especially with Garrett, and he's not a runner. So it helps your pass rush out so much. Now, what Ole Miss elected to do was do a stunt where they both pinch in. Now, you rarely see a pinch in from a DT and a DT in, but what they're saying is DJ Chester can't stop us, okay? Because when you pinch in like that, that forces Chester to have to make a play, all right? And he is just getting driven back really badly here, okay? Now, on the 2nd and 10, we are running a bunch of vertical stuff here, and you could see that nothing is open. This dig is covered. This is covered. We're also giving up pressure on this left side with Will. And if you're Garrett, you just have to step up into this and just live with eating the sack. You don't want to fade away throwing this just for the sake of not getting sacked, right? And we've seen this problem quite a bit with Garrett Nussmeier, okay? When he just kind of throws it, you're just kind of hoping for the best, throwing that ball right there, and it gets deflected, okay? It gets deflected actually off of Will Campbell's helmet right there. And it's up in the air, and my goodness gracious, it's picked off, okay? Now, if you're Caden Durham in the spot, you want to do whatever you can to get it down. He tried, but it's an interception. And that is on Garrett. You should just eat it, but it's just bad offense all around. All right, let's move ahead to this fourth down stop. First off, the play was made by Gio Paez right here, submarining the center. Anytime on these fourth and shorts, you can submarine the center and create that much penetration, it changes the picture for the ball carrier here. All right. Second thing is they trusted a wide receiver in Watkins to block the best player on LSU's defense by far this year, which is Bradyn Swinson. That block is never being made, and it's part of why I don't like tightening the formation just to tighten it, okay? We want that to happen. That had been happening to us all game long or all season long, and we get an unbelievable play right there from Swinson. All right, we're backed up. We move ahead to the 2nd and 10, and, God, this is really good quarterbacking from Garrett Nussmeier. They showed a double team at first to Kyren Lacy, and then Chris Pupal goes center field right here, and Garrett hits the post on this 3-man rush. Do we get a little lucky here? We do. All right, we just do. Is this a hold? Emory Jones gets beat to the inside really badly here. Okay, so guess who saves the day? It's Miles Frazier. All right, thankfully this was only a 3-man rush. Is that holding? Man, y'all, I normally like to let that go, but they did let it go from the perspective of the Gabriel Relaford play. So that was a huge call going our way. All right, so we get another Joe Sloan play call. Man. This is really good stuff right here from Joe Sloan. And we get really good blocks here on the outside. The safety is never going to make this tackle. That was a good job by Josh Williams freezing him. And, man, that's good stuff by Xavion getting physical and getting the edge right there for Josh Williams. Okay, was a cutback opportunity there? Potentially, but we'll take those yards all day, every day. All right. So I want to apologize to Joe Sloan. I gave him one play suggestion that I showed could work versus this Ole Miss team, and that is out of pistol running a stretch play, right? Kentucky got a few to go their way. The issue is our offensive line got brutally beaten in the first quarter of this game, okay? This is why you go pay for a 5-star DT in the portal. Gary Dellinger's been really good. He's been really good this year. He gets dominated right there by Walter Nolan, all right? Guess who else has been really good? Mason Taylor. He gets 2-gap right here by Suntarine Perkins. And then everything is just squeezed down. We cannot block the stretch play. We cannot block really anything in the run game. And they destroy that outside zone. That was actually some decent running by Josh to turn that into something. All right, so it's 3rd and long. And once again, the middle of our offensive line just had a brutal day. Just a brutal day. Okay? So this is not what we wanted going into this game. Walter Nolan going up against DJ Chester, who's been, to me, the offensive lineman that struggled the most. Now, he is a first-year starter, and he does get some help right here from Caden Durham, and Durham gets thrown down by Walter Nolan. Okay, that's expected. Man, we just cannot block them. They honestly just kicked our butts. Now, could Garrett have thrown this right here? Yes, this is a for sure completion, but it's getting eaten alive pretty quickly. So that probably should have been thrown. Could Garrett have also stepped up into this pocket right here just a little bit? Yeah, because he did almost get strip sacked. But all things considered, this is a good ball. Kyren just got dominated on this rep. And, dude, they just kicked our asses in the first half of this game. 2nd and 12, and, well, we get beat again by Trey Harris. I think this is on Spears, and it would be Ashton's stance because he's playing this as if he has safety help over the middle, play action fake. So I don't have a better angle of this play. I'll just be straight up with you. But, man, this was just not good, right? 3-man rush. We put Dominic McKinley into the game, and there's just not a whole lot of room here. Man, you just don't like to get beat over the middle again, okay? And lucky enough for us, this was a bit of an underthrow, but Stance would have been there to make the touchdown saver anyway. But my best guess is that should have been on Spears, Okay. All right, 3rd and 7. And we were a little unlucky, that we got a tighter camera angle where we really can't see as much. But give Savion Jones a lot of credit. He finds his way back into the play. And this should be a holding call. They normally let anything inside the chest plate go. But when it's that egregious, I would like to see that called. But nevertheless, man, God, if you're McKinley right here, he kind of gives up thinking that Savion Jones is there. So you can see he gets static, stands straight up. And Ahmad Rowe does a good job getting off this block and at least stretching this out just a little bit. And Dart's trying to find somebody open down the field. He can't, so he just takes these yards, and it sets up a 4th down field goal, which Ole Miss eventually does make. Now, I want to apologize. In the pregame show, one bet I said to make is Ole Miss first quarter. I don't like betting first quarters because you do have these situations. Ole Miss starts fast. LSU doesn't. That's basically been the MO of both coaches and teams. And you would have won this bet if they had hurried up and kicked the field goal. But, man, that is the unluckiest beat I think I've had in recent memory. I didn't actually play it. I don't bet LSU games in. Okay? And this is going to come off really bad. All right? So we're in this pistol. And normally when we're in pistol, we run outside zone. So we show outside zone, and then we end up running inside zone. Okay? Or at least I think it's inside zone. You could make a case that this is duo. It's kind of tough for me to see from the end zone angle. But we've got to be able to run on this. All right? Too high look, and it's Will Campbell who ends up missing the block. Okay? If Will executes this one block right here, all right, Caden Durham is one-on-one versus a safety for a huge gain. But Will misses it, and Caden Durham is tackled right here. Okay? Now, it didn't help that Miles Frazier also lost his block here. Man, dude, we're just having a tough time protecting. Right, so we're trying the outside zone handoff again out of pistol. All right, on film, there were instances where you could run this versus Ole Miss. Now, judging by the numbers here, we actually should be fine. We actually catch a break, too, that one of their linebackers kind of ran himself out of this play. But what happens? Miles Frazier gets absolutely positively dominated here. You can see this is really poor technique. Watch him kind of just catch this block instead of attacking it. We want this step to be violent, and we want to get Chris Pupal going this way instead of allowing him. I mean, you have 100 pounds on this guy. And ironically, this was a guy who dominated Miles Frazier a few years ago in 2022 when Chris Pupal was at Arkansas. Okay? You just got to make this block. You just do, because this is there. But what happens? He kind of catches a block, pays patty cake, and look at how far back he's driven right here by a linebacker. And you seal him. This is there on tape. All right? This was on tape. I gave this out in the Patreon. All right? You make this block, Caden Durham is through here. But instead, he has to cut back. Of course, we're not making our blocks on the backside either. All right, so we get to this 3rd and 13. Now, I want you to see Ole Miss's DBs actually communicate. Ours don't, right? And you'll see that Garrett Nussmeier just makes an absolutely amazing play. It's a drop 3, rush 8, and Garrett makes you pay, right? If you're going to give him all day to throw, he's eventually going to find someone. He's just that good. And once again, it's Miles Frazier versus Walter Nolan. This is not good right here from DJ Chester, okay? So it is a rush 3, drop 8. This DT is going to the outside. So these two don't need help on this guy, and we need him to stay here, okay? But you'll see Walter Nolan just destroys Miles Frazier back into Garrett's lap. It's still good enough from Miles going up against a really good player, and Garrett finds his base, good, quick, easy release, and we do hit Kyren over the middle for a huge, and I mean huge, first down. All right, so we pick it up here. I love this call from Joe Sloan. All right, get the football in Caden Durham's hands and just switch up how you want to run the football. So a little delayed hand to the left side. Will Campbell seals it, and now we get Caden Durham into space. That's some good creativity in the run game, and we'll take that all day, every day. Good freaking stuff. Now, Kyren gets called on a BS block in the back penalty, he didn't even touch him. Okay, but we'll still take the good run. Okay, so we get to this 4th and 1, and this is coming out of a timeout. I'm a little shocked that LSU tried to do anything with Caleb Jackson, but this isn't on Caleb, right? He's just dead from the start. This edge player is playing Caleb the whole way. This is on Garrett. His reluctance to run is starting to really hurt LSU, okay? You either have to do 2 of 3 things, and this is the one thing you can't do if you're actually reading this edge player. You keep it, okay? If you keep it, guess what? You're probably picking this up. All right, and you might still be running, honestly. But honestly, there's another option to this play for him to actually pitch this football here to Xavion. You can see he's waiting for it. Garrett just makes an awful decision. He's not his own read quarterback. It's not his strength. Either way, we make another sloppy mistake as blockers, okay? I don't know why LSU has had such bad issues with guys crossing face. But right here, we need Emory Jones to get up on this double team and get to the outside shoulder. So we need you working this way and turning him to the outside. He has really had issues with this year, okay? So we need you to play side of this 3-tech, okay? And he just can't do it. He gets thrown off to the side here. And that's just what I've been seeing all year. We just cannot hold on to blocks, okay? We just can't do it. I don't know what it is. Our guys are just getting whipped, and there's nothing else to it other than just that. Okay, so it's 3rd and 10. This is a really good defensive call right here from Blake Baker. We bring a slot blitz to the field, right? And this is really good offense from Ole Miss. All right, slot blitz to the field, and what's his name? Jaxon Dart sees it, okay? So he throws in the direction. That's where you want to throw it, but we have an interesting little caveat to this play that we're actually backing out the linebacker to replace Sage Ryan, okay? So the ball is thrown short here, and Major Burns sees it, okay? So Dart sees this, throws it late, and we have really good rush right there from an unblocked Bradyn Swinson. Now, you've got to make this tackle, okay? You just do. That's all there is to it. And not only do you need to make this tackle, it needs to be clean, all right? And I don't think that's not Major Burns. This is P.J. Woodland, all right? You've got to keep your feet. Don't dive. Don't dive low for his legs, all right? Either way, we need Whit Weeks to make this play. He doesn't wrap up. 8 is able to spin off of this, and they are allowed to go for it on 4th and short. If we're able to make this tackle clean, is Lane still going for it here? I don't know, but it would make it a tougher 4th down conversion, and you just got to step up and make plays. All right, so let's get to here. This is the 4th and 1 long touchdown run, and if you watch the film study from earlier this week, we do a preview film study for every big game. We'll do one for Arkansas this week as well. The single most important thing you can do as a defensive back is make the touchdown saving tackle, and Jordan Gilbert and Major Burns to a certain extent have a chance to do so. Now, guess what? It actually wasn't Jordan Gilbert who had the big mistake on this play. It was, but it wasn't. There is an LSU legend that actually made the same exact mistake in a huge game during a national championship year. And we're talking about one of the best LSU football players of all time. I did a Patreon film study showing him making this mistake and a current LSU player making this same mistake. And right now, for the next 72 hours, it is free on Patreon. And guess what? We make this mistake on offense as well. We do it over and over and over again. And I'm kind of shocked that Brian Kelly has yet to fix it. And even though it's not necessarily his expertise, he needs to get involved in fixing this, all right? Because we're doing it on both sides of the football, and until we fix it, our offensive running game isn't going to get better, and our defensive run stopping is not going to get better. So right now on Patreon, it's something I haven't mentioned this whole film study. You can check it out for yourself. All right, so it's third and Gonzalez, and Miles Frazier makes another mistake. Clear false start. All right, so Miles Frazier has a bad false start. man, it's been a tough year for him. It's 3rd and 13. This is actually a really good defensive call. And we actually get lucky here, okay? If I, as a defensive end, know that there's an overload, I want to make sure I rush this to the outside to give the DT space right here. But you notice Ivy actually squeezes his own DT huge play right here from Emory Jones. This is huge. Okay, 15 makes a huge mistake. Walter Nolan's hot. This matchup, we cannot block it. Okay, and guess what? They're getting a good bull rush, but Emory Jones pins Ivy to the inside, and this allows Garrett to be able to roll out to the right side here and make an absolutely massive play. Okay, that was huge right there from Emory Jones, and Garrett rolling out to the right side is a dangerous proposition for defenses. Xavier Thomas, who was massive for LSU, gets a nice gain here. All right, it's Garrett again. Play action fake, and this time, this is really good offensive line play. We communicate this twist over the middle, all right, and we just destroy it, all right. Garrett gets a good push on that, and then he helps DJ Chester out, so we just need Garrett to step up here and find somebody open, okay? And he actually has one of two options. He could throw this dig, but we want to throw the ball to our best offensive receiver, which is Kyren Lacy. We lead him to perfection, and it is a first down. Good stuff from Garrett. All right, in the pregame, I said look out for Trey Green playing more receiver, and guess what? We get the RPO game going. All right, safety presses in. Garrett sees this space right here, and once again, Garrett, I mean, how many SEC quarterbacks are better than him right now? It's tough. It's really tough to find one. Milroad, Beck, maybe, I don't know. He's playing that well. So Ole Miss tried to take a deep shot on first, and Ashton Stamps made an amazing play on it. This right here was the difference in the game last year. We just never could make this tackle on Trey Harris. And my goodness gracious, Zy Alexander, this would have given me flashbacks. We do get a little lucky here because Xavier does lose his feet. I say Xavier. Zy does lose his feet, and he does make the tackle, okay? God, it's good stuff right there from Zy, okay? And sometimes it is just the simple tackle. I tweeted this out last night that, man, this is what cost LSU the game. Same exact thing. Denver Harris whiffs this tackle unbelievably, and then obviously the cutback. Major Burns was in a tough spot. All right, so Lane ran this play on us last year, and it's just tough. It's really tough. They run just an out versus Greg Penn. It was on the same player, to the same player, pre-scoring. And it's just good offense. Sometimes they just run the absolute perfect play versus what you're running, and that was definitely it right there. There's really nothing Greg could do about that. Best coach on the staff this year has been Kevin Peoples. Womack is starting to play better, okay? Really starting to play better. So this guard is pulling around. He's got to make this block. He blows Ulysses Bentley up. And then last year, Womack would have just kept going. He had a bad problem with that. He spins back into the play. And if he didn't spin back into the play, Dart is probably getting out of that. Okay, good job by Paez helping out. And it sets up third down. And this is just really poor from the LSU defense. It's third down. We can't get our calls correct. We don't want to let their number 5 receiver, and this is actually their number 2 guy, Watkins, just have simple pitch and catch on a slant, right? Man, that's just, I understand we've been getting burned, but we don't want to give up easy pitch and catch first downs. All right, so we get to here, and this is just a special player making a very special play. I mean, there's just really no other way around this. This is a really good design. Middle of the field open, you want to attack this space. So this is a good job by Trey Harris. You can tell he's friends with Malik Neighbors. Look at how he sells this route as if he might be stopping right here, but instead he's going into the space. Dart sees it, and when the back of a linebacker or a safety is to you, this is open. Okay, you throw this over the middle, and Major Burns has a chance to make a special play. Now, Burns honestly played well in the first half of this game. You do have the chance, though, to make this play, and Trey Harris mosses you. Okay, he's a good player. It happens, but you did have a chance to make the play, and you didn't make it. All right, I'm recording this. If we somehow magically win this game, it's on Garrett, right? Like, as in, he kept us in this game. I mean, this is ridiculous quarterback play. And, well, his supporting cast failed him in many ways, okay? Aaron Anderson just does not drop, and that's the worst kind of drop when it just deflects directly up into the air, okay? Oh. 2nd and 10, and once again, Emory Jones makes a big play, all right? We're trying to run something. Once again, I hate it. The camera angle is so tight tonight, okay? If you want to go to the inside, be our guest. Let him go to the inside, but pin him in so Garrett can extend the play, and he gives Garrett enough time to find an open Xavier Thomas right here, and Xavier makes a very difficult grab. And Garrett, the great quarterback that he is, he reads this leverage well. He starts off looking to the left, doesn't like what he sees, works back to the right here to Aaron, and I love how quick and compact everything is with Garrett, okay? Good footwork, good base. Look, right when these feet are down, Garrett is ripping it. Okay, that's how it's done right there. Bang. Really good catch with the umpire right there. Is Aaron barehanded? Is that a barehanded Aaron Anderson right here? Not think he has gloves on. Still, really good play. All right, so we get to this 1st and 10. They bring a corner blitz. Garrett sees it, so if it's a corner blitz, we want to throw to Kyren's side every time when it's him versus a safety, and that's just really good quarterback play. Back up. Give Kyren as much time as he possibly can to get that coverage, to get that separation. It's an easy first down. And then Lane starts the fake injury BS. Ivy was fine. He was back out a few plays later. So we get to the Xavier touchdown, and Greg McElroy brought this up, that the double move right here to Aaron is open, okay? But since there was pressure, he's not going to be able to pick it up. They just, called a really good blitz right here, and the second-level player was unblocked, all right? So is Aaron open on the double move? Yes, but honestly, if you're reading the leverage here of this situation, I think he made the right decision. If I had to choose between throwing to either one of these two guys, I'm throwing it here every time, even though Aaron did juke the shoes out of the safety. And as many of you know, this throw was really good by Nuss. Xavier couldn't quite hold it. It was deflected right here, but he still makes an incredible catch. Wow. And I want you to see this ball location. Lane had a convenient injury for the replay. Okay, that ball did get deflected. So Xavier, the fact that he even made this close is really impressive. Could LSU have gotten some review luck here? Well, last year versus Ole Miss, they had a 50-50 BTJ review that went their way. I'm okay with them overturning it, if we're being fair. I am okay with it, okay? So Garrett was great in this game, but also had his low moments. Will Campbell was great in this game. He also had his low moments, and so on. There was a lot of players that stepped up, but I am not afraid to admit if something truly is transcendent and legendary. Whit Weeks, this is a top 5 LSU linebacker performance of the modern era. I mean, it really, really, really is. And I'm probably not going to break down the targeting play. It's we did get lucky that the review went in our favor, okay? But what's really crazy about this is Whit Weeks stripped this football, and no one really noticed it. But Greg Penn deserves some credit for it as well. And I'm just being fair here, all right? How many linebacker performances in your mind that you could think of, right? Devin White versus Florida, Devin White versus Texas A&M, Kevin Minner versus Florida, the 20-tackle game. I mean, there's a lot, okay? And Brady James has a lot to say about that as well. Patrick Queen versus Clemson's probably number 1, knowing the stakes. But Whit Weeks, just like his high school tape showed, he does everything. He does everything, and that was huge. Give Dominic McKinley a lot of credit, trailing the play and then getting dirty here. Dominic McKinley going country boy bare hands. I love to see it. And he wins the fight for the ball here, okay? All right, if you're an Ole Miss fan watching this, you're going to have to go to your grave knowing that Pete Golding got way too basic in this game, all right? Was Ole Miss out-athleting us for a lot of the night up front? Yeah, I mean, they were, and they did actually a decent job overall covering our guys. But what I think they did a huge mistake of is just being way too simple in their coverage. They ran a lot of two-man under, and they ran a lot of one-man robber coverages. So that is very, very tough to put on a defense playing their 7th game in 7 weeks in a back-to-back road game scenario. It's hard to play that much man coverage, especially on a quick change, sudden change possession. And on first and 10, LSU gets the matchup that they want. Xavier Thomas has 3 burn. Garrett Nussmeier puts a pretty good ball out there. Xavier is a very good difficult catch guy. He's got to make that play. He will tell you that as well. Okay. So now we get to here, and man, I would not have run this, okay? I just would not have run mesh, all right? Because we dodge another bullet here, and this is actually really, really good football IQ from Garrett Nussmeier. We have no timeouts left. So anything in the field of play kills us in this spot, all right? So I would not have run 2 in-breakers where Garrett could potentially throw these because we do not want to get tackled inbounds or not past the sticks. This is a bad throw from Garrett. Kyren did have a step on him, and it was almost too far, but lucky enough we were able to make the field goal before half. So actually the incompletion there was good, right? I think I would have preferred that in that spot because, we would have to hurry up and spike, and then you'd have to dodge another bullet of being tackled inbounds. So getting to 3 there was probably what was going to happen regardless of that completion. All right, I better not hear any Major Burns slander in the lives or anything this week because he was sensational. Now, this kind of became more of a Major Burns game because Ole Miss does not have the best slot options. I think all their other weapons outside of Trey Harris just did not turn out to be what they thought they were going to be this year. But this is ridiculous right for Major Burns. The protection here is actually fine. They have a running back here for Major Burns. Watch what he does here. He takes the guy head on, and that's normally the best way to take a guy because if you take him head on, if Jaxon Dart steps up, you could throw him this way. If he steps the other way, you could throw him that way. He just went right through him, jumped over him, got the hand on the ball, and stripped it. Okay? Ole Miss recovered it, and they eventually were able to go make a field goal. Wow. All right, we get some more ridiculous quarterback play here from Garrett Nussmeier, okay? So the defense actually calls a very exotic look on the back end. 3-man rush, drop 8, and what they're doing here is defending against mesh, right? Every team on 3rd and medium runs mesh, okay? So you notice they're walling off any types of shallow drags, all right? They're not going to get beat on a slant or anything over the middle. So Garrett sees this. Like, you rarely see a box over the middle like this. So once Garrett realizes that's what they're doing and all these safeties are piled up in here, he knows this deep area of the field is going to be open, and he waits for Aaron Anderson to clear out into this space. All right? Aaron is honestly the unsung hero of this team. I understand he doesn't have, if this is Malik or BTJ or potentially even Kyren or Xavier, they're probably, tutty in this. That's not Aaron's game. He is a crafty slot receiver, and yes, he doesn't score, but that was a ridiculously good route and throw. All right, so this isn't good from Garrett Nussmeier. Really isn't. We get some interception luck here. I would have loved to have seen what Kyren's route would have done on this. It looks like it's covered. Looks like we're running a whip here, a whip here. But the bottom line is it's hard to play quarterback, especially someone like Garrett who's not unbelievably tall, when there's constantly this much bull rush in your lap. All right? We just could not hold up against it. They're running a twist again with their interior players. This was really good by Ole Miss to continue doing this until we stopped it. And guess what? We never actually stopped it. All right? So, look, DJ Chester's on his rear end. We're just getting blown up right in the middle, okay? And, nothing's open. He throws behind Mason Taylor, and we get lucky, all right? We get very, very, very lucky. Okay, so let's talk about this LSU defensive line. This is really good. Okay, remember earlier I said that Patreon film study to go watch in terms of gap integrity and all that stuff? This is amazing stuff right here from Parashan, who's not even a DT. Okay, he gets to the inside of this offensive lineman. We just need you to make the play. That's good process right there. We just need you to make the play. This is a good job. We did a good job, honestly, squeezing this in. We just need to make the tackle and finish it, all right? We do eventually trip him up. Whit does. But still, it's encouraging to say the least. All right, so 3rd and 6, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Man, Sage Ryan had a tough night, okay? Major Burns stepped up. Obviously, Major Burns and Sage Ryan, they get grouped together quite a bit. But this is just easy pickings for our guy Jaxon Dart right here. You get another really good rush around the edge right here from Savion Jones. That's not holding. You don't get rip benefits for holds. So, I could see that called, but I'm fine with letting it go. And we also have a QB spy here on Jaxon Dart for him to run. So I'm actually okay with this defensive call. The problem is we don't have the guys to play cover 1 man underneath. We just don't, okay? There's multiple guys that are catching and running for a lot of yards here. All right, Trey Harris on the shallow drag is happening. And as you can see, we run into an issue defensively. So Zy Alexander knows he can't stay with Trey Harris on the shallow drag, and Major Burns sees that this is a deep crossing route. And right here, Major Burns stops thinking that, hey, are we going to pass this off right here? Well, we don't. And guess what? This deep over is open. Okay, now it just depends on what the call was. If LSU is in what's called a MEG call, which means it's man everywhere he goes, then that is on Sage Ryan. He should stick with them. Okay, he does do a good job finding his way back in and making the tackle. Here's another problem: is everybody was practically open here. Trey Harris was open. Deep over was open. This dig was also open to Juice Wells, who you could put on a milk carton. He's open on the dig, and man, it's just not good defense all around, okay? 3rd and point could be, okay? We need someone to make a play, and guess what? Our guy, Parashand, makes another play. Burst right through here. I mean, he's not even a defensive tackle. Maybe he is. That's huge. That's a hold. That needs to be called, all right? I mean, you can't just grab. He does let him go. So I'm okay with letting that go. But on top of this, we also bring a corner blitz. And we actually get lucky that the corner blitz is coming from the shallow drag area of the field, okay? You could run into problems if it's just a stop or just a quick out. So we get some good fortune there. They're running mesh, and it doesn't look like anything's open. We have a fast corner right here as a contain guy, so Jaxon Dart just has to throw this away. And I think Brian Kelly wanted an intentional grounding call because there was no one out there, but he was outside the tackle box. All right, this is really good stuff from Joe Sloan. We don't give our offense a lot of gimmies where like guys are just running wide open. It's a lot of Garrett Nussmeier making special throws and our receivers making special plays. We finally get a gimme, all right? And I love the design of this because their defensive line has been so aggressive. Let's use that aggressiveness against themselves and run a misdirection screen. Now, the key block here needs to be made against Chris Paul, who's been the best linebacker in the SEC. He's up there with Stutzman and now Whit Weeks, and Will Campbell gets the big block, okay? Now, are there some that are saying, hey, this is blocking the back? Is it? I don't know. I'll let you be the determining factor, all right? And it doesn't look like they were calling for it, but still, it's a huge, huge, huge gain for LSU here on first. Let's also show some love, obviously, to Josh Williams. This kind of became a Josh game, right? And I can't tell you how many big runs he's had throughout his career for this team, okay? I understand Caden Durham's a better back, and he probably deserved more touches, but with the way our run blocking was, Josh is probably a little bit better at short yardage and just grinding through people. Pause. That sounds really bad. So this is the issue as an LSU fan. It's too high looks, right? We should be able to run on it. It's just we can't get movement for whatever reason. I don't know if it's scheme or whatever. So here's Josh right in the hole versus number 6. This should be at most a 4-yard gain. And look, he's still on his feet and picks up an extra 2. All right? Okay, so we get to the 2nd and 5. And Garrett does a really good job reading this. It's just a bad throw. It's a bad throw. Now, it's a difficult throw because off the play action fake, you have a blitzer right in your face. So Garrett pumps a little bit, and you really got to throw this football out there. A little too casual, and this ball just kind of ducks out. We have him, all right? And obviously on a slot fade, this ball doesn't need to be thrown vertically, but instead more at a 45-degree angle to let Aaron run in underneath it, kind of like the Ole Miss catch. But Aaron is expecting the ball to be there. Could even redirect it a little bit better, maybe, but it's just a miss. But we do get the penalty. Now we get to Garrett's lowest graded play on the night, outside of turnovers, of course. The turnover-worthy plays are always, the worst. But, man, we actually protect this really well, and Garrett makes an absolutely positively critical error on this play. And it's something that obviously would get him out of his own comfort zone. But let's break it down even deeper. Man, there are so many dangerous double-covered balls that he threw in this game. But this is time to run, okay? There is a preseason quote from Garrett Nussmeier saying, hey, I'm not Jaden Daniels, but I know I've got to run at times. There is never, ever in the history of football an opportunity for you to run like this. Everybody is playing back, and it's man coverage underneath, so 2-man under. All right, Caleb Williams is really good about this.
Defensive-wise, and then they dropped out of it. They went 2-man. At first I thought, I think DeMar was on the left side. I thought he was going to rotate, and the right safety was going to rotate down. Not. He bluffed it, got over top of the vertical, I believe, to roam. And then after that, I got down on my back. My back was covered, and I saw the C's part, realized it was 2-man, and took off.
Okay, 2-man under is one of the best quarterback scramble opportunities to run because the safeties are so far back and it's man coverage underneath. And you're running a lot of deep stuff, outbreakers, all right? So you have all day and a bag of chips to run for this first down. You might actually score. You very well could score. And look, nobody is asking him to be Johnny Manziel. Nobody, okay? But he still to this day has never had a positive rushing yard attempt versus a Power 4 team at all, okay? You've got to run this. You've got to run this, okay? I know you're a pocket quarterback, but nothing is being completed right here. Nothing. You tuck and run, that's it. That's it. You've got to tuck and run right there. My goodness gracious. Oh, yeah, nothing is being completed. Nothing. Come on, Nuss. Please, man. Please. Okay, so we get to the 2nd and 7, and wow, really good call from Blake Baker. This is going to piss Lane Kiffin off, though. I mean, you had the right protection here. The tight end is just paying attention to Whit Weeks, and he just does not see Greg Penn right here, okay? And then Major Burns is making another play, helping to collapse his pocket. And I just have no idea how the tight end didn't see Greg Penn, and you get a big sack from both of them. All right, so the beginning of the fourth quarter, you're able to call your best play defensively, and they call their best play offensively, and we get into our sub package here. 2 high safety. Xavier Debo-Atkins comes on the field to give us a little bit more speed. We take Greg Penn out, and, well, this gets a little too easy. So we're providing safety help for Ashton Stamps over the top. But honestly, it's not as necessary because Trey Harris left the game and got in his street clothes. He got out of his pads, right? I was kind of shocked by that. Don't know the full story there. I know he's hurt, but still. This is a little conservative, especially considering Whit Weeks and Greg Penn or Xavier Atkins in this sense. We had done a good job with our blitzing backers. But the funny thing about this is even though this is a 3-man rush, we get home here with Savion Jones, all right? So we're able to get a lot of pressure. The problem is Ole Miss calls a perfect play call. So they get a little motion right here to show that 19 has man coverage versus P.J. Woodland. That's a matchup you want to attack, obviously, with Woodland being a true freshman. And he's got inside leverage here, so this is an easy read for Jaxon Dart. And look at where he puts his football right at the sticks, past the sticks. So you don't like seeing Woodland get beat there, but sometimes their guys just make plays. Okay, so we move ahead to this 3rd and 7. And once again, I know this is going to sound very simple, but number one, if this is Trey Harris, they're probably picking up this first down. Number two, him leaving really changed the outcome of this game. It really, really, really did, because Ashton Stamps, you're just able to be a little bit more comfortable. I do also love that we showed at the snap that we might be bailing. Remember earlier we were playing that soft cushion on the third down? But what we end up doing here is it looks like it's press man, and it looks like we're potentially just letting them have the slant. But right here, Stamps turns around and plays him at the sticks. Okay, that's good disguise right there. And we also have all the in-breakers guarded. All right, this is really good stuff. I would have loved to have seen, if you're an Ole Miss fan, would this have actually been converted if you actually work here to the flats? Probably so. I mean, they had these guys sealed. So this honestly isn't bad quarterback play. Take the slant that got you the first down earlier. This is just one hell of a play right here by Ashton Stamps. Okay, he meets the receiver right here. And remember earlier we allowed the guy to fall forward. The fact that he wasn't able to fall forward here made this a very difficult fourth down decision. Okay, making those tackles. These were the tackles that LSU missed last. 4th and 2, you give the LSU defense a lot of credit for the second half, stepping up and making plays. But y'all, we honestly did get beat a lot, okay? And we're just lucky that we made the touchdown-saving tackles, right? That they didn't turn into actual touchdowns after the catch. Once again, this ball is behind the receiver. And the second thing here that's very interesting is they actually had 2 touchdowns. All right, the design of this, they're thinking that we're going to run on 4th and 2, a handoff to their DT who's been their Wildcat quarterback. But you see, he pauses as if he's going to block. So the funny thing about this is Sage Ryan and Greg Penn getting beat right here is actually what prevented an actual touchdown to number 11 right here on the go. And that would have been a tougher tackle to make. All right, now, once again, it is cut off. Maybe Jordan Gilbert was running over here to this, but we got beat really badly by 2 different people, and this is better stuff from Jordan Gilbert. Don't dive in. Just make the touchdown-saving tackle, and let's make them have to convert in the red zone. And he doesn't make the tackle. Major Burns comes in and saves the day, okay? All right, very weird play here. Okay, I don't know if I want to call this a good defensive rep or not so great defensive rep. 3-man rushing again, I never really want Bradyn Swinson to be our QB spy. Like, we're losing his best trait, which is getting after the quarterback. But I like a Jaxon Dart QB spy on 1st and 25. If they beat us over the top, so be it. Y'all, we are beat over the top here. Dart has a clean pocket. He underthrows this really bad, right? We are beat. All right, we are beat. And it's rare that you have this many guys trailing. This is just rare, all right? If he leads a receiver, it's blouses, but it's just an underthrow. He just choked. And you give Zy Alexander a lot of credit for stepping up and making that play. But, yeah, I mean, we're beat. We're beat. We'll take it all day, every day, though. So we are about to ramp it up here in the 4th quarter. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell. Live streams, you guys know the schedule, pregame, halftime, and postgame show. It's going to be a little bit different because we will be in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We're meeting up Friday night at a place called City Park. I believe that could change, but that's where the plan is going down, okay? So we get the momentum changer, but I do want to show some love to Tiger Stadium. There obviously were, the noise, the lights to set it off, all of it was a huge difference in this game. All right, so Garrett Nussmeier is getting destroyed for throwing this interception. I'm going to defend him a little bit as far as the throw is concerned. We're running 4 verts, and we're actually running 4 verts into quarters coverage. That is the worst coverage to run 4 verts to, okay? And it's a switch release. Ole Miss's DBs are really good at the switch releases. Remember the out on Mason Taylor on the first play of the game. Either way, Garrett decides to throw this ball into heavy coverage. Before we get to the throw, let's talk about the protection. teams are going to continue to do this versus us, all right? They're just going to keep pinching their defensive tackles in and forcing our interior guys to have to step up and hold fort, all right? We just weren't able to do it. We were doubling Walter Nolan here, and he's still able to break through and affect this throw by Garrett Nussmeier. And I do think, I would like to ask Gus Nuss about this. I think that did affect the throw. You could see it had kind of a, let's see. Yeah, you could see it has like a little flutter to it. All right. So either way, you probably shouldn't be throwing this. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, he's definitely not throwing that. He definitely can't throw that. There was just too much pressure. And that wasn't there either. All right. So it's intercepted. Now, let's talk about Garrett in the running again. This defensive end, this is one thing I think Garrett could have noted earlier in the game. 15 likes to rush to the inside and lose contain. All right. We've got to make them pay for that decision. All right. It looks like this is a twist-ish stunt. We got to have Garrett, and there is a QB spy. You're not gaining a whole lot. You've just got to run over here and extend this play. Because if you run over here and extend this play, guess what? Receivers are going to be breaking back to you. All right? And I understand he likes to roll right more than he likes to roll left. You've got to feel this out and just get over here and live to fight another down. You just can't throw this off your back leg with a hand in your face. It's just a really bad throw mixed with really bad protection with an aggressive play call against a perfect defense against it. So it's just All right, so for brevity, I'm going to skip the first 3 plays on this drive, okay? All right, so now we get to a 4th and 6 here with the game on the line for LSU, okay? It says 4th and 7 on the graph. My play-by-play charts say it's 4th and 6. So I'll tell you what happened on the first 3 downs, okay, because we're really going to break down the next few plays in detail. Garrett Nussmeier just missed Kyren Lacy on a go ball down the sideline. It's just a terrible miss. Then on 2nd down, DJ Chester and Frazier got dominated. We had numbers, and we could only get a 4-yard run with Caden Durham. These two got their butts kicked. And then on 3rd down, this time it was Walter Nolan who pressured the hell out of Garrett Dellinger, and it forced Garrett Nussmeier on a throwaway, and we didn't have anything open. Okay? So on the first 3 downs, LSU had terrible offense. A terrible throw from Nuss when Kyren had a step, and now we get to here. This is a bad defensive call. Bad defensive call by Ole Miss. It makes absolutely positively no sense that they did this, okay? They had no success doing this overload thing, and what happens here is they don't even bring anybody from the left, all right? You have Suntarine Perkins here in kind of a spy role, but there's no pressure here, and that leaves Garrett Nussmeier all day to just buy time. And the thing that's really dumb about this defensive call is you're playing 2-man under again, right? Garrett Nussmeier knows that you're playing 2-man under because that's what you've been doing so much throughout the course of this game. So Garrett's like, okay, back it out here, back it out here, back it out here. I know the deep over versus man coverage is going to be open. Now, I want you to see who actually makes this play. Well, it was a guy who batted the ball down at the beginning of the play, at the beginning of the game, Trey Amos. So this was a corner that Mason Taylor had to beat cross field. That tells you how bad of a defensive call that was. And Mason Taylor makes a really difficult grab, and he holds on to it all the way to the ground. Good stuff. Now, it's 2nd and 10, all right? We just could not hold up against them up the middle until now. What a pass protection rep. We do get lucky. Walter Nolan is not on the field. This was a guy who had really been kicking our butts. Nolan isn't out there, and Pegues, number 38, isn't out there. All right? So now we got to hold up against this. Garrett finally gets a good pocket to where he can really step in. This is excellent stuff across the way. We have everybody in phone booths, and Garrett Nussmeier finally gets to an open Aaron Anderson. Look at that ball location. Bang. High away where only he could get it. Now, what's interesting here is we're running mesh, and Ole Miss actually gets a little lucky because we do eventually get Kyren open over the middle. The DB fell. So if Garrett held on for a few extra seconds, he probably finds Kyren over the middle. But, man, what a freaking throw that was to Aaron Anderson, okay? That is a drop, all right? Aaron's playing really well, though. It sets up this 3rd and 10. And guess what they do? Same thing, all right? 2-man under with a late blitz. It's man coverage across the way. So this right here is a viable option to Kyren, because Kyren's probably beaten Brandon Turnage, who's not really that good. And then we finally get Walter Nolan blocked. They do the overload thing again. And this is why I wouldn't have done the overload versus Ole Miss if I was Ole Miss. It's because it cuts off what Walter Nolan can do in this situation, okay? He's been dominating us, and they try to run a twist. I'm just shocked that they didn't just keep bull rushing him right up the middle. The twist is poorly run. Ivy had a tough night. He just had a tough night. And you see, he kind of trips his own guy, all right? So we get a little lucky with that Walter Nolan, he's still able to penetrate through here. And Garrett rolls out here to the left side. Nolan's still on the ground. Then Garrett has to outrun their version of Harold Perkins. Suntarine Perkins has ran down so many great quarterbacks. Garrett, who's not known for his elusiveness, is able to fight off of him and then eventually find our guy Mason Taylor down the field. Okay, so Mason's elbow does hit the ground. That was a good call by the referee. And it ends up working out better for us that it did, because obviously it allowed us to burn more time to get down, all right? Well, of course, we would have preferred the touchdown there. We don't know if we end up scoring or whatever, but still an amazing play. And I want you to see this, okay? I mean, probably in the long run, in this situation, we want Garrett we want to get this football to our shallow drag, okay? And just like Kyren make a play. Still, Garrett says, look, F you, Carter. I'm going for the spectacular. And, man, it was indeed spectacular. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, this is just ridiculous stuff. Give the offensive line credit for not running down the field, okay? And Garrett just makes a ridiculous throw, cross his body, playmaker. Man, that is crazy. And, man, I just can't get over that throw. It's insane. Okay, we get to the 2nd and 10, and we get a man coverage indicator, all right? It's clear that they're running man. So guess what Garrett wants to work? The hot hand, which is Mason Taylor, on the over. So Trey Amos is like, look, I got him, but memo to Trey, you don't got him. Huh? It's a difficult guard having to play Meg, which is man everywhere he goes coverage. So he's got to go with him all the way across. And obviously, the easier throw would have been right here to Xavion. This might be a more profitable throw, but I understand Garrett trusting Mason Taylor in this spot. We also probably had Kyren on an in-breaker here, and we're just burning everybody with crossers versus man coverage. Yeah, Kyren was open here. Still, we'll take that all day, every day. Mason obviously has a hot hand right now, so let's keep feeding him, and he's able to get upfield for a first down. Okay, so on first down after this, once again, I'm cutting some of this for brevity, we missed Xavion Thomas on a goal ball. It wasn't there. Josh Williams had a huge pass protection mistake, and Garrett was about to get sacked, and we were very lucky to have the incompletion. Now we get to the 2nd and 10, and this is just a bizarre rep all around. I see what Kyren was trying to do, but with 2 timeouts left, in this spot, we want to hit this quick little stop. All right, so Garrett Nussmeier starts off looking right. You see Kyren's not even really in a position to catch the football, okay? That's because he's not thinking that the ball is going his way, because it's not, right? The point of this play right here is to draw this safety in, which it does, and to hit Aaron Anderson on the deep over right here. So I'm a little shocked. I guess Garrett didn't throw this. I just want to throw this. I know that's probably not where the play is designed to go. This is just bizarre. Kyren's not looking for it or waiting for it. This is just weird, okay? Even if you act like you're wanting to catch the football, that would even draw the safety in even more. But Garrett works backside. The protection here is really good. I know I've been critical of Miles Frazier, but once again, Walter Nolan isn't in the game, so this is an easier matchup for him. We pass off the stunt really well, so the pocket is really good for Garrett to make this throw to Aaron. But what does he do? He throws to Shelton Sampson, who just came in off the bench and has never caught a pass. And I understand the creativity. I'm just not trusting Shelton Sampson in this spot. There's no separation. Obviously, Garrett, you're taught as a QB, if the DB's back is turned to you, throw it, or the linebacker. And, is Shelton making that play? I mean, you would like to see him get off of that and get closer to it. But where this ball should have gone here is right here to Aaron. Throw it with some loft, and you're probably getting it. And it's just weird, bad offense. All right, 3rd and 10. Who remembers the Alabama game in 2022? This feels a lot like it. All right, LSU does the right thing versus too high on this 3rd and medium. Play it as if it's a 2-down situation. So we bring Mason Taylor into the box. Honestly, we should be picking up all the yards here. I understand we are running in the direction of the overload, but we still should have this from a pure numbers advantage, right? It's 6v6, which means a running back should have a clear run-through. But what happens? Well, first off, we get a good block from DJ Chester. We get also a good block from Emory Jones. What happens, though, is we get a mistake from the pulling left guard right here. This block has got to be made from Garrett Dellinger. This needs to be a kick out. We want this helmet to be on the stripes right here, but Ivy is able to two-gap us and create a pile, but Dellinger, at the very least, gets him to the ground. So Josh Williams, who just made the pass protection mistake, Greg McElroy said he felt Josh could have bounced this right here, and guess what? He could have. Okay, because Mason Taylor gets a good seal. This guy decides to cut in. So if we can get a bounce, we're running into space right here. Either way, you could tell Josh tried to get through here. He gets tripped up because there is a pile. So Ole Miss did a really good job defending it, but we'll take the 5 yards to make it a manageable 4th. All right, so 4th and 5, game on the line. First off, big mistake by Ole Miss to not burn a timeout here because they were not set. Okay, the second thing is this is a good job by Garrett Nussmeier reading, and this is honestly a pretty simple pre-snap alignment read that it's 2-man under, right? This is what they have been showing you all freaking game. So what do you want to throw versus 2-man under? You want to throw over the middle, okay? Now, LSU's protection actually did break down here. They did break through on the 3-man rush, but Garrett did a good job, of course, buying the time needed to throw a dime to Aaron Anderson. You'll see it right here, okay? Very shocked Ole Miss in a situation, had a QB spy right here, right? Garrett already showed you he's not going to run. You don't want to give him all day to buy time, and I want you to see when he's actually ripping this ball. Look at the anticipation here. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. Look at the anticipation. I know it is simple. I know it's simple because this is just wide open, and Kyren's causing a lot of gravity over here, but God bless America. God freaking bless America. Lots of anticipation. Garrett, are you freaking kidding me? I understand completion percentage-wise, this was not great. Telegraph-wise, it was not great. Running-wise, it was not great. Obviously, you guys saw the other breakdown. But dear freaking Lord, Garrett, in his first year as a starter, hits Aaron right there. Didn't lead him too far either. I mean, it's an all-timer right there with the game on the line. All right, so I want to be fair in my analysis, and I feel like it's important to be consistent. Now, I'm not just saying this because this was a decision that Brian Kelly made, because I absolutely blasted him for not deferring to the second half. I hate receiving to start the game. I agreed with that decision to kick the extra point and play for overtime, right? Because if there was less than 20 seconds, go for 2 in the win. But there was still enough time for Ole Miss to go get a field goal. And part of just kicking the extra point Ole Miss is more likely to be conservative on offense if you were to go for two and take the lead, right? Because you just kicked to tie going into overtime, that lends itself to Ole Miss being a lot more conservative on their play calling right here. So, once again, it feels less than 15 seconds. I would probably tell Brian Kelly to go for it. But since there was this amount of time, plus LSU, I don't know if this was intentional or not. If it was, it's absolutely genius. The squib kick right there burned a precious 7 seconds off the clock. So I agreed with that decision by Brian Kelly to kick the extra point. All right, even though you always hear me, and I was very viscerally critical of Brian Kelly not going for two in the Florida State game to start his career, but that's not here nor there. We had this problem a few times, all right, and you see Corey Raymond, or I don't know if that's C-Ray right there, you see that we aren't aligned properly, okay? The first thing on this Hail Mary is I actually do like this decision from LSU. We actually bring a blitz. I think too often people aren't aggressive enough with their Hail Mary defense. But let's be honest, we were not lined up, and we didn't have a timeout to burn. So we're actually bringing a nickel blitz, and you could see that if this ball was thrown right here, right now, we're probably catching this player right here, but we were late in getting aligned. I don't even want to risk it. And either way, you could throw this quickly right here and then get down. And, you throw it, get down, maybe, you throw it right here, get down, they could have kicked the field goal, right? I was a little shocked that Ole Miss decided to go for this, right? I mean, they really tried to do this, okay? You're never completing a Hail Mary in this situation. So I'm probably looking for the quick out or something quick and then just fall down and then kick the long field goal. But ultimately, this turned out to be really, really good stuff from Blake Baker. Bring pressure in this situation. And Whit Weeks makes the freaking play again. Just drives a running back directly into the quarterback, and it forces Jaxon Dart to eat the sack. Once again, there was not a thing Whit Weeks didn't do in this game. Wow. So first down, I believe it was Greg Penn or Zero Parashan who drew a holding call. Whatever the case may be, Whit Weeks made a good tackle. Now it's 1st and 20, all right? And you could just see Ole Miss is just rattled, all right? I think Dart should just throw this, okay? But honestly, it's Zy Alexander who makes the freaking play. His PFF grades apparently were pretty good. I don't look at the PFF grades until I'm done with this. But, man, this is there, all right? I mean, Ole Miss can get mad all they want in the portal class, and we get another good rush right here from Swinson up the middle. But they paid a lot of money for Juice Wells to transfer over from South Carolina. He's been a disaster, okay? He didn't even need to jump for this. That is one of the worst drops I think I've seen. Look, it hits the underside of his hand. It looks like he just forgot how to play football. Zy Alexander was in his head. All right, now it's 2nd and Mandeville after the false start penalty. And you could see why Jaxon Dart only trusts Trey Harris, really. He even has time to actually make a play here. And LSU's coverage just dominated. Get a good rush right here from what looks to be Gio Paez. And this ball is just thrown into heavy coverage. Once again, there is a step with a few players, but Whit Weeks is just Superman. Look at that. Look at that. Huh? And Gilbert has a chance to basically end this game. Can't do it. 3rd and 25. The 2nd and 25, I understand taking the shot. On 3rd and 25, you got to give your field goal kicker a chance to make a play. You're just never going to complete this. All right? We have 2 QB spies here, and finally Whit Weeks steps in here. He does a good job hitting Jaxon Dart, and once again, it's Zy Alexander making a play. And you also have a chance to end this game right here. Man. Now, I'm kind of interested to see if this Juice Wells ball would have actually been the better. That's still a tough throw. And Zy Alexander just staying on top of everything. Oh, you have a chance to end it right there. Oh, man, it would have capped off a great night for him. All right, now we get to this 4th and 25. I like this call. Get our 2 6'6", 6'7" tight ends up the middle right here. This is just a really good kick. It doesn't matter if we had it square on. There's not a field goal kick blocker expert in the world that is making that block. This is just a really, really, really good kick from a really, really good kicker, okay?
We knew we was going to get a one-on-one matchup on the backside with our motion, so it was just on me to win my one-on-one matchup. And Nuss trusted me, threw me a ball up there, so I went get it.
All right, you'll see it right here. It is just a good old-fashioned double move. And the funny thing is the double move after this motion from Kyren Lacy, so we motion him from left to right to get the matchup versus his corner, is the corner did not bite on the double move at all. Like, the pump fake did not fool anyone, right? Kyren still had to make this play. Obviously, the protection here was amazing, and Garrett decides to back shoulder this ball right here to Kyren Lacy, let him make a choice, let him have a chance to make a play on it, and that's all she wrote. Now, is this offensive pass interference right here from Kyren Lacy? No. I mean, they never call that. It just looks like he uses momentum against him, and it's a tutty for the dub, baby. So this is the portion that a lot of you look forward to is, what do I think? All right, So this is where it gets spicy, okay? I'm going to give you my full evaluation. If you want full game grades plus the free Patreon study, and the reason why I want to keep it free for the next 72 hours is because there is something going on with LSU's run game on both sides of the ball. It's one simple fix that they can make that could help LSU stop the run better and help LSU actually start running the daggone ball well. Okay, it's just simple football IQ stuff that we are not doing. And look, even the best of the best LSU players have struggled with this mistake. So, and I'm talking about the best of all time would struggle with this. So it is linked down below, and your mind will be blown. I guarantee it. Just do it. Now, I highly recommend you do sign up for the Patreon, $9.99 a month. You get a Joe Burrow card in the mail, plus all my extra stuff, Discord benefits, all that good stuff. Okay? Now, let's get to it. This game kind of felt like the Jamarcus Russell game where he bailed us out, him and Dwayne Bowe, and we were able to win the game in overtime after a blocked extra point to win it. LSU that night didn't play their best, and we did not play our best either. Let's start with the defensive side of the ball like we always do. All three levels of the defense deserve a lot, and I mean a lot of credit. Now, they do get... Well, I'll get to that advantage in a second. They do get this one big advantage that other teams don't get. But honestly, this was really, really, really good stuff, again, from LSU's two best defensive players, Bradyn Swinson and Whit Weeks. You know, to win these big games, you need the absolute best players on your team to step up. And Greg Penn also played unfreaking believably well as a new green dot. And look, there's much discussion about how the linebacker play has gotten better since Harold Perkins has been out of the fray. I don't think it's necessarily because Perk has gotten better or Perk wasn't good. It's that everybody's roles become just a little bit more defined when Harold Perkins isn't out there. But look, you're going to eventually miss his play-making ability and just overall his depth, right? So, you know, one key thing as we look forward to the next week is Ole Miss did run 87 plays, and LSU had, I think, 6 of their players play 75 plays or more. And with a back-to-back road game coming up, it's going to be really difficult for us to win both of these games just purely off depth. So we're going to need some other guys to step up. I think some deeper ends like a Gabriel Relaford and Womack played really well, but you do worry about the depth overall, in particular in the second level of that defense. But look, before I get into the actual position groups here, let's understand that LSU did have one massive advantage, and that was the crowd. I really would like to give the game ball MVP to the crowd, right? The set it off I know I wasn't in the stadium, but everybody that went said the light show has made it a lot better for the 100th year of Tiger Stadium. And yes, we can get into a debate about rushing the field. Should crowds rush the field when you beat Ole Miss? Hell, it's a top 10 game. Let them enjoy themselves, right? The players love it, and more importantly, the recruits love it. They love being on the field after the game in a mob, right? So whatever the case may be, Tiger Stadium, you deserve to rush the field, because if every single one of you that are watching this that was at the game, you were a difference. You played a huge, huge, huge role. And I'm not just talking about Paul Skeens and all the celebrities that were there. It's really cool to see Jets, Shaq, OBJ, and so on and so on. But, the crowd deserves a lot of credit, and good luck also deserves a lot of credit, all right? Ole Miss, this was their 7th game in 7 weeks, and they were extremely banged up, as was LSU. But to have their best player, and probably the best player in this game up to this point in the season, play the first half but not play midway through the third, and just to completely not dress out, was probably a little bit of a shock to Ole Miss, right? So Trey Harris being taken out of the game, and all the lucky breaks we got in the first half. We showed you the holding call that went our way that could have been a safety. The Whit Weeks review went in our favor, and of course the dropped touchdown by Trey Harris on the first play of the game, or the first drive of the game for Ole Miss. All those things went in our favor. So especially early on, we caught some lucky breaks, and then throughout the rest of the game, I felt like more of the good calls in the breaks did go LSU's favor, but there was also some that did not go our way. Now, that aside, let's talk about just us. Defensive line, another really freaking good day outside of what we point out in the Patreon study. Defensive tackles played well. Paris Shand is getting overlooked in a major way, and I'm just not going to let it stand. This is a guy who came in as a defensive end, and we need him to move to defensive tackle, and that move won us this game, because this would have put a lot more weight on true freshmen like Ahmad Bro and Dominic McKinley to play more reps, which they are really solid. I just don't think they're at that 40, 50, 60 rep just yet. So Parashan, Brian Kelly brings him up quite a bit, number 0. He's been fantastic. We already mentioned Swinson. Womack is playing better. I think he's going to play a lot these next couple of weeks just based on depth. And Savion Jones was in kind of the role he played last year, which is a more difficult role than what he did versus USC. I thought he was okay. So we get to the second level. Greg Penn and Whit Weeks were phenomenal. I am worried about, the reps afterwards. I already shared that Whit Weeks, this is one of the best LSU linebacker performances in the history of LSU football. I really do mean it. That's not hyperbole. And honestly, there's just probably one that I would consider to be better, and that was Devin White versus A&M a few years ago. So we'll just go in the past decade. That's how good he was in this game. And then in the secondary, Major Burns, I know my grades are behind a paywall, but Major Burns was my most improved player. He was fantastic today. Obviously, he could have prevented both of Ole Miss's first half touchdowns, but the bottom line is he was very much improved, and he was a huge, huge, huge difference. And give us credit for the touchdown-saving tackle. Last year, we didn't make those tackles. We missed some of those today, but the truth is, forcing Ole Miss to have to execute in the red zone with our crowd noise and all that stuff really played a huge part in this W. So give all 3 levels of the defense a lot of credit, and give Blake Baker a lot of credit, because at halftime, they were averaging over 7 yards per play. At the end of the game, they only ended up averaging 5.5 yards per play. All right. Now, the overtime period did help, but that was only 4 plays. Bottom line, Ole Miss ran over 80 plays. We really need to rest up because our defense isn't particularly deep, and it's going to be hard beating Arkansas and A&M back-to-back. So Blake Baker deserves a lot of credit. This is why you paid him the money. This is why I thought he would be the big-time defensive coordinator. But you know who else had his best performance after a bye week? Matt House in his first season. So let's hope Blake Baker could get our guys ready to go on a short turnaround to get ready for Arkansas. Now, still, Blake Baker was phenomenal. He did so many good things in this game. And, Dart, I thought, was fine. I didn't think he was spectacular. Obviously, losing Trey Harris. Juice Wells kind of cost him this game, right? Him just being a total non-factor and thinking he was going to be a big-time player out of the portal. South Carolina fans were done wrong by him, and he is doing wrong by Ole Miss fans now. Okay. Special teams, good night for them. I would like to know if that squib kick was intentional. Obviously, Ramos had a really bad slice on one of the field goals. He's still been, for the most part, fantastic. Slade Roy, I shared his post-game video with Odell Beckham. You can go to Twitter and you can see it for yourself. And, man, Peyton Todd deserves credit. The punts, he's not going to be Donnie Jones or Brad Wing back there. By the way, Brad Wing was also at the game. But still, he's good. Peyton Todd's turned out to be good. He's held off Blake Oschendorf, the 6-year player coming over from Louisiana Tech. So congrats to Peyton Todd. Now, we get to the spiciest side of the football, which is the offensive side. Let's start with Joe Sloan's play calling. It wasn't his best game, but I'm going to be honest. I thought he called fine plays. I would like us to scheme up more gimmies, right? Like the Josh Williams screen, which is just basically a free play. It allows your offensive line to take a breather because it's a play design that's actually getting something open. It still was Will Campbell that made a really, really, really good block to spring it. Now, before I get into the actual individual offensive linemen here, let's give some freaking credit to this Ole Miss defense. They spent a lot of money and a lot of resources to go into the portal, and all of these defensive players have turned out to be good. I know Trey Amos got burned by Mason Taylor over and over at the end of the game, but he was in a very difficult spot having to guard those deep over routes of man-to-man coverage. Walter Nolan kicked our ass tonight. There's no other way around it. It doesn't matter how you slice it. We could not block him. He is phenomenal, 5-star. He's probably going to get drafted. But, he was fantastic. Chris Pupal, the transfer from Arkansas, is a really freaking good linebacker. And the fact that they got him, he's been one of PFF's best linebackers in all the country. Outside of Stutzman at Oklahoma, how many linebackers are better than him this year? I really don't know. But I was really blown away. For the Ole Miss fans watching this, your defense is a college football playoff level defense. So, look, this might be, and let me take a look at the final schedule. I know we still have Alabama's defense coming up. We know A&M with Mike Elko is going to be tough. But you could make a case that this is the best defense left on LSU's schedule. All right? Actually, I would say it is the best defense that we have left to play was this one. All right, Alabama's will still be tough. Vanderbilt will be tricky. And then, of course, Oklahoma with Danny Stutzman is going to be tough with Bowman and those guys. So give Ole Miss's defense a lot of credit before we talk about LSU. All right, let's start with the running back position. There really wasn't much that they could do in this game. One little specific note is our running back pass protection was okay. There were a few pass protection mistakes. There was a huge mistake by Josh Williams. We didn't show the play. It was actually the same exact mistake he made on Max Johnson's game-winning touchdown pass versus A&M. He got too tight. He didn't block the guy off the edge really well at all. He got blown back into Garrett Nussmeier, and lucky enough he was able to throw it away and it not get intercepted because number 0, Xavier Thomas, was covered. So running back pass protection is an issue. But, there's just a lot to be desired there, but I think we'll be fine because Josh Williams overall has been a good protector. Now, running backs overall good. I understand many wanted Caden Durham to get more touches. I would love Caden Durham to get more touches in every game. But outside of that one pass protection mistake, Josh Williams was pretty good. This was a grind him out, get hit at the yard line and fall forward for 2 or 3 extra yard kind of game. All right. Durham, of course, coming off the little foot problem that he had. I actually do like the fact that he wasn't used a whole lot, and he's going to be really well rested because we're going to need him on the road in hostile environments, okay? Now, we get to me, the most disappointing group in this game. This is the biggest defensive line matchup that we had on our schedule because of all the 5-stars and the transfers. And by the way, we did not have to play their best pass rusher in Princely. Outside of Will Campbell, the offensive line was bad. It was just bad. I thought Emory Jones was okay. I thought Gary Dellinger was also okay. But this was tough for Miles Frazier and DJ Chester. And you guys know, offensive line is really difficult. You're having to play so many snaps. You never leave the field. You're the biggest guys out there. It's hard. This crap is hard, especially when 5-star NFL-level players are in front of you. But that's what happens when you're talked about as the best offensive line in the country going into the season. We are simply not that. All right, so this was a tough night for those two in particular. Will Campbell was flat out phenomenal. If you were to say Will Campbell was the MVP of this game, I would be perfectly fine in you saying so. Now, we do need to have a discussion about the middle. And because the middle of the offensive line has issues, we cannot run the football. I do think we had good run looks, right? Remember a few weeks ago, Brian Kelly was asked, hey, why weren't you running the football more? It was the second game of the year or whatever. And he said, hey, we weren't getting good looks to run the football. Tonight, we got a lot of good looks to run the football, and we couldn't, right? It was a lot of too high looks, and we just could not get it going. Maybe you guys disagree with me on that, but to me, in rewatching this game, we had run looks, we just could not execute it, and as you guys saw, quite a few run blocks were missed. So I, at this point, would not make any changes on the offensive line. I just wouldn't. It's a little too late to do that. I don't think there is a clear-cut backup that can come in and make the center or the right guard position better, but they need to play better, and they will have more favorable matchups next week against Arkansas. So the defensive line has been pretty good, but they aren't as good as this one at Ole Miss. But you will be on the road, so you do have to worry about penalties and all of that. So there you go. Now, tight end, it's simple. Mason Taylor was phenomenal, yet again, in particular, towards the end of the game. So I give Mason a lot of credit for that. Don't need to spend too much time there. Wide receiver room, a banged-up group that had a very gritty performance with a lot of drops. Ironically, there were more opportunities for us to make difficult plays, and the wide receivers just weren't able to. But after Aaron Anderson's drop, Aaron was phenomenal yet again. Kyren, of course, was fantastic yet again. Xavier did some really good things. He's going to be mad that he didn't make a few more of these difficult catches. But, man, this was a good night, especially considering we don't know what's going to happen here with Chris Hilton. And C.J. Daniels not being available, you see how valuable he is. We miss some of the little things that he does for this team. Now, oh boy, we get to Garrett Nussmeier. And this is where it's going to be spicy. Let's first talk about Brian Kelly. BK, I think, coached a good game. I disagree with not deferring to the second half, and we can get into a deeper debate about why he does that. But I thought Brian Kelly did a good job figuring out this game, right? We were lucky, though. We were ill-prepared. We did not start fast. This has been a major problem of the Brian Kelly era. It just is. I'm not criticizing him. I'm honestly just telling you the truth. And I want to apologize to all our viewers because I said if there was a side that I would bet, I did pick Ole Miss to win the game. By the way, I hated doing so. It made me very queasy inside. But I said bet Ole Miss in the first half. That covered. I also said bet Ole Miss in the first quarter. That was the unluckiest cover. I don't want to break down as to why that was the case. But if you bet that, I am so sorry if you bet Ole Miss first quarter because dang, it was very, very, very unfortunate. I'm actually glad you lost that bet because, well, you guys know why. But we've got to fix the slow start thing. We just do. But I also don't think Brian Kelly thought off a bye week our offensive line would get that pummeled over the middle. So it is what it is. Also, Trey Harris beating us deep 2 times in the same half. And it's just, I know that's not on Brian Kelly, but we did adjust on that side of the football. Okay. Now, we get to Garrett Nussmeier. He admitted himself that he played bad. All right, and athletes are always going to be a little bit more critical, and they're going to be a little bit more, hey, I need to do things better on my side of things. But, okay, big but, lots of turnover-worthy plays in this game. Lots of them, including just turnovers in general, right? You guys saw, and it's kind of been passed around now, my criticism of Garrett Nussmeier not running the ball, and I honestly think him running on that 3rd and 13 helped us out on the 4th down play call, right? Because on the 3rd down play call, on the 4th down play call to Aaron Anderson, there was a QB spy, and the only reason I think they had a QB spy there was because Garrett Nussmeier actually showed that he could tuck and run early in the game. So you see what that does, right? It opened so much for us, and we punish those defenses that play two-man under versus us. So Garrett Nussmeier's scramble versus Ole Miss was the first positive yardage scramble of his LSU career versus a Power 4 team. That is still a stat that doesn't make any sense to me. We do need Garrett to run more. We also need Garrett to be more willing to take sacks, because the first interception is just a play where you have to take a sack. I understand it's frustrating that the offensive line's getting pushed into your lap quite a bit, but you have to live to fight another down, okay? And some of that's on play calling, but some of that's just on execution. But all the criticism aside, all the turnover-worthy play mess aside, missing Kyren Lacy on the deep ball on the final drive. Y'all, it is hard. It is so freaking hard to play quarterback when your back is against the wall, all right? So I didn't have time to do this because, I'm cutting all these film studies, and I do a lot of NFL stuff now. But I want to shout out my friend Jared Addison. He actually went and crunched these numbers for me. LSU, on average, on third down, because their third down percentage wasn't great, 6 of 16, right? And then we were like 1 of 3 or 2 of 3 on fourth down. Okay. We, on average, on third down, faced a 3rd and 8.5, okay? 3rd and 8. That was the average for the entire game. That means we were behind the sticks on first and second down so many times. And yes, some of that is on Garrett Nussmeier missing some guys. But you got to think about it this way. If they were showing us a lot of too high looks and chances to actually run the football to make it a more manageable second and third down, then guess what? We shouldn't be in so many 3rd and 8 or longers, right? That was on average. And we still had a 6 of 16 percentage with difficult fourth down conversions mixed in there. You are not going to have success as a quarterback if you are facing those 3rd and longs. And that's why you have all-time low completion percentage, even outside the drops, because we're putting ourselves in very predictable positions to where Garrett Nussmeier has to play such high-level football to get us out of it the few times we were able to get out of it. So, I understand being critical of Garrett Nussmeier and the completion percentage and playing better and not turning it over, so on and so on and so on. But I cannot stress this enough. This is the South Carolina game all over again for a first-year starter to consistently find ways to win games this way and pick up first downs this way is unbelievable. It is unfreaking believable, right? Because we have a first-year play caller. We have an offensive line that's underachieving. We're playing good defenses. All right, so I understand the numbers weren't great. I understand I've been labeled a nuts apologist. I totally get it. But even outside of the old tired analysis, he made plays when the lights were the brightest. That is true. On top of that, there are so many quarterbacks that would not be succeeding in this environment right now. Okay? So the bottom line is this dude got it freaking done for us, and he continues to play at a high level, even with himself admitting he did not play well. And one final thing, Garrett Nussmeier is a dog owner. He had his dog there after the game, and I love to see it. Now, lots of chatter about this. I don't do Sunday night live streams anymore. I would happily do one if y'all want to just fire one up right now. But I'm looking at you, okay? I believe one of you are going to donate a pretty nice super chat before I give you this final little factoid here. So super chat, Venmo, Cash App at Card of the Power goes a long way with this stuff. Shout out to all our partners, nooffseason.com, NOPOD, and the Zion Imaging 360 photo booth, okay? Final thing. Can this LSU team make it to the college football playoff? Yes, they can. Alabama looks very beatable. I understand Vanderbilt is Vanderbilt. They are really good this year. Like top 5 to 10 team in the SEC this year, if not top 3 team. I mean, they're playing really good football right now. A&M's going to be tough. But the bottom line is, do I see a world where LSU could find a way to get in with only losing 1 game left on the schedule? Yes. Okay. Do I think that they beat Arkansas and A&M? Well, I'll save that opinion for our next live. But yes, we do this at the end of every live stream. We keep an eye out for the playoff. LSU very much is in the thick of it. I thought it was interesting, though, in the Brian Kelly interview here, He was asked directly about the playoff, and he was like, "Oh, whoa. Hold on just a second. Huh? Oh, God. W's abound. It is. Power Hour. LSU. Boom. Good job, fellas. Way to get it done. Our offensive line's going to step up. We're going to start playing better. We're going to execute. I'm still an LSU fan. Once again, I don't know all the play calls. Don't know all what you're taught in practice, all that stuff. And by the way, if I'm critical of a player or anything, this is just my honest opinion. It's not the person I want every LSU player to succeed, obviously. And tonight, we're doing lemon pepper chicken wings. Let's go.